If you haven't been with me for the other live streams, basically this is week 3 of building up my agency using Go High Level and Smart Directory AI. So I'm gonna catch you up really quickly to where we are, and then we're just gonna dive right in because we got about 30 minutes. I wanna get through a lot of stuff. I wanna show you a lot of cool results. Spoiler alert, last week I sent out the first batch of cold emails. I ended up sending, I think, 140 to 140 different businesses. So we got some replies, we got some stuff that I can show you, and I'm gonna show that a little toward the end. But like I said, this is gonna be about half an hour, so we'll get to it pretty quickly here. So for anyone following along, the domain name of the directory site itself, you can even go to that right now. It's roundrockbusinesses.com. I'm going to put it in chat. On the off chance that you do want to just check it out, poke around yourself, I'll only ask that you don't try to claim a listing or do anything, because obviously I'll just have to sift through all of that and make sure that you're actually the business owner. And also don't try to add any new listings, because again, if you're not in Round Rock, Texas, it'll detract from the site, and this is a live real site. But in the meantime, you can poke around. Today, we're going to go over the results of that week 1 data of those emails, how many got sent out, how many went to spam, how many bounced, and all that fun stuff, how many people replied. And we're also going to check out what next steps of outreach looks like, how you reply to people when they respond to you, different options for what you can do there, and then what kind of just like the outreach, like our trajectory on it, that the path to outreach really looks like past those initial emails, past those initial responses. And then I'm going to go over a couple different options. I said one option. I'm going to go over a couple different options here, 2 different options for how to respond to simple yes email responses when people confirm their business details. So let's get into it. All that will make sense in a couple minutes. All right, so first, the quick mess up. So last week I showed you how to bulk upload and we started sending emails. And one of the things that I mentioned is you want to clean your list and you want to make sure that all of the businesses you're uploading, you have everything mapped correctly. When I did that initially, my email column, so the column that on my CSV that said email, it didn't map automatically to email. And it also didn't show up when it gave me the mappings. All right, so last week, like I said, I went through customizing the email templates and started sending emails. And then one thing that I noticed is I sent about 40 emails to the right recipients, and then 100 recipients in my list, I realized the email hadn't mapped correctly. So that was a little fun mess up, which had a really easy fix because we had done the smart list, and smart list just categorizes everyone. So right off the bat, go ahead and exit this. If I go to this tab called Smart Lists up here, I can click into my various lists, which are my bulk uploads. I did one for that specific upload, and I think it was this one here. Now you can see these are all contacts with names, but initially when I uploaded them, this email field didn't get mapped. So they started doing the outreach and all of those got skipped because they didn't have emails, so we couldn't email out. So simple fix that I list right here is I just I changed the column name to email address instead of just email. And then I mapped that directly manually in that setup step when I import. Easy fix. Then I was able to add them to the workflow the same way that I showed you last week. Now, one thing that's really interesting is I showed you the initial outreach workflows. I didn't really dive into how once someone claims their listing, you're going to automatically send them to the premium listing outreach flow, that being the flow where you ask if they want to upgrade. So I'm going to show you a little bit about that this week. And then later on, we'll get into those numbers so you can see exactly where everything is. So let's I'm going to go to the automations tab. And if this is a little fast for you, don't worry. As you get used to Go High Level, you just get a feel for where everything lives. And these are automations, again, that just come out of the box with Smart Directory AI. So I didn't have to make any of these. The only thing I did last week was customize some of the email templates so it said my business name and had a little bit more local flavor to it. So this initial workflow that we did, you can see total enrolled, 140 of the free listing outreach. From there, we let them know about the business or that their business listing on roundrockbusinesses.com, which is my live site here. And I have not yet customized the text, but I did customize this background image. Let me zoom in. And I customized just some of the basic layout or basic information about Round Rock here. And you can see the listings, most of these, because they're unclaimed, I didn't add photos to. Let's close that tab. However, once we get through the free listing, when they do upgrade, you want to send them to your premium upgrade push. And that's what this is right here. Right now, no one's in this. Sorry, there's a fly buzzing around me. But you can see that it doesn't have a trigger there's actually a trigger that's set up through Smart Directory AI. So you don't need to modify this at all. I want to make sure that's really clear because I don't want you hopping in here and thinking that you need to add a trigger in order for this to work. That's actually mapped over, and I'm going to show you where that is right now. So let's go give us another tab just to make things nice and easy. So we can hop back and forth. Back to workflows. And I'm going to go scroll down to Smart Directory AI, click that in. And if you notice, I've got settings. I've also got branding. So I'm going to hop over to settings, and you can go to workflow mapping. Now, you don't need to change anything here. I just want to make sure you know where that stuff is actually mapped out. But you can see how claim request approved, map to the claim request approved workflow. Let's scroll down to listing upgraded to premium. And again, you can see listing upgraded to premium workflow. So now I'm going to hop back to the workflows area and show you what that looks like. You know what? I think I was already in there. So when someone upgrades to premium, this is the thing that basically connects it. So they automatically get pushed into that workflow. So you don't need to set up a different trigger. And a trigger, if you're not familiar, or if you are familiar with it, then it's pretty much just like the thing that puts someone into a workflow. So let's say a tag is added, you could set that up. Let's do, or like a contact tag, for example, something like that. Let's just type in tag and see what pops up. Yeah, you could do a bunch of different things. You don't need to worry about any of this, but it's the thing that would trigger the workflow to pop off for someone. So if they get a contact tag added, opportunity status change, all of that. Again, you don't need to worry about it here, but that's just helping you understand what a trigger is. But these are mapped a little differently. So I don't want you to get confused if you hop in here and you see something's different. Now, what we can do is we can still look at these templates. In this, let's see. I have not updated this one, but it's pretty generic and it works well. The only thing that I might change is just saying a local directory in Round Rock, Texas. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. I'll just do TX. Build to help businesses like yours connect with more customers. So they're automatically, and I can preview this. You'll notice in preview, it doesn't fill in the location.name. It will do that for the real emails, so you don't need to worry about that. That's going to come from you. Right now, it's just previewing with a customer's information. So if there's anything specific to them, it'll show that in the preview. If it's stuff specific to your business and it's filled in from the settings, it won't show that. And I'm going to go back to edit. I'll hit save because I like that change. And I'll exit out. Now, so you have an idea. We've already walked through this, how the workflows connect. You don't need to worry about handling it. You don't need to modify any of these. And I really recommend that you don't, especially when you're just starting out. If you're really familiar with Go High Level and workflows and you have a whole different kind of like process and backend set up, even then I would consider copying the workflows and making changes to your copies, but keeping this set intact just in case you want to go back to it or something gets messed up or whatever. So I wouldn't modify these off the bat. Again, when it comes to the actual mechanics of it, when it comes to the templates, customize it as you want. You shouldn't need to do too much though. Now, let's go into our current workflow that people are actually involved in or engaged in. And I'm going to go back to the free listing outreach. I'll show you a couple of things before we get right into how this performed over the last week. And really, I should say about 3-4 days for the majority of the people in there, because I had to make those updates on, I think, Saturday or Sunday for that swath of customers where I realized I didn't have the email mapped. So you can look, and I'm going to scroll in a little bit just so you can see. You can see that there are 87 people who are in this wait 2 days stage. So these are the people who, again, I enrolled Sunday, maybe it was even Monday where a lot of them went out because I staggered it a little bit. I did a drip campaign. So everyone's been through this email warm-up phase. That's why you don't see any numbers here with this initial email. The vast majority of people are on this wait 2 days phase. So between today and tomorrow, they're all going to get the second email for email number 1. And the main difference between these two, we went over last week. This is just saying, hey, free listing. Just going to open it up for you. is that kind of like free listing. And then my dog is right next to me. She might pop onto the screen. Free listing gives them the information that we have, and it's just asking, hey, is this correct? So I did get a couple responses there. I'll show you what they are. And then the next one that people are going to get, a little bit different, not too different. One of the main differences that you'll note, we have a link here. We didn't have a link in the other one. That's partially because links can make you look a little spammy to like Gmail, Outlook, all that stuff. So you don't really want to just send a link off the bat. Sending it after some other emails, after you've warmed up your email a bit, that's a little helpful, or that's helpful for your deliverability. And I'll show you my deliverability. It's, I think, above 93%. So again, like really good. That's really solid for deliverability, especially because this is a newer email account. But it gives them a link to click to claim their listing. Same basic information here, and it's just reiterating that point. And then I have a couple people in the wait 2 days until we get email number 2, which is the third in our sequence. A couple more headed toward email number 3, and then a couple more headed toward the final reminder. And that's the end of this sequence. I'm not going to show you all the emails. You get a feel for it by now. But that's the end of the sequence. And that's when we're going to give them some time. And later on, we'll reach back out. For now, we're just going to let them run through the sequence. It takes about a week and a half, 2 weeks, which is why the vast majority of people, actually no one has even received this final email reminder yet. So now I want to go back and I want to show you if you wanted to look through and find a specific contact. So let's say there was someone where I had put them into a drip campaign. And by drip, I just mean that I wasn't emailing everyone in bulk who I put into that campaign. So if I put in 100 people and I say every 3 hours, send an email to 10 people and do it between 9 a.m. and 2 p.m., I would know that I'm not going to get all of those people out that same day. So I want to look for, let's say, I'm just going to put in salon. Let's say I wanted to find Bliss Nail Bar and find out where they were in this enrollment history to see if they'd gotten their first email or the latest email. I click that and it looks like they're not enrolled. So let me change it to a roofer. I haven't enrolled, I think, salons at all. So let me go with Roofer Pros. And you can see that they're enrolled in this. So it had no enrollments for someone who was not enrolled because I haven't reached out to any nail salons yet. I've only reached out to dentists and roofers. And you can see that they're just waiting for time and they're in the wait 2 days stage. And if I wanted, I could see the contact execution path. I could force them in the next step, and there's no reason to do that. And I could view, we'll just click that. So you can see this is actually one where initially I didn't have the email, so it was skipped. And it says that one I think was already in there from before, so it just didn't send a second one. But added to the workflow, executed, and now we're waiting. And our view details is we started waiting. So we're gonna send them the next email at 5:45 this evening in my time. Or sorry, using the accounts time zone, which is my time, Chicago time. All right. So now that we know where to look for all of that and where to find all this information, if you're trying to figure out where someone is, we've gone through that. Let's talk about what happens when someone replies. So let's go ahead and cover 2 things, and I'm going to show you my statistics right after that. This is going to be really quick, but critical. When someone replies, you need to respond manually. Do not automate this step. And there are a couple of reasons. One, even if they just respond with a yes, this is correct, then you don't want to just send something back, great, and leave it at that, or send back an automated, great, are you looking for marketing services? We don't want to do that. Right now, what we want to take advantage of is building a relationship. So part of what we're doing, again, with this whole concept of prospecting this way, as opposed to sending a cold email and just saying, hey, do you want SEO? Do you want an AI agent? Do you want paid ads? Whatever it might be that we're providing, is we want to build that relationship, show that we can be trusted, we're an authority in the market, we have an understanding of how to do these things, demonstrate our professionalism and capabilities, and then from there, go ahead and ease into that conversation without immediately just off the bat saying, okay, good, that's right, now what can I sell you? That's not what we want to do. So don't automate your responses here. I frankly really don't find a lot of AI is really great for automating responses, even given some context. When it comes to something just like this, you're not going to have so many where you're overwhelmed unless you're really sending out way too many emails at once. that you can't just take 5 minutes and respond to each one, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever it is. There are two real things that you can do. And one is what I'm going to show you that I did, is offer to add more business information for them because they had not claimed their listing. And I give them two options. I'll show you the exact email I sent. It's basically, hey, do you want me to add some more business details? You can send me a description, send me an image to add, or if you want, you can claim your profile for free. Either way works for me. Happy to help. And just, again, be that helpful value provider as opposed to a salesperson, or as we think of a spam agent or something like that. This gives them two options. One, it allows for me just to be helpful to them. And then it also says, you're also not dependent on me. If you want to have autonomy and do this yourself, you can do it. So either way, we give them the opportunity. And now we can also do the other option before we send the email, would be to check their site presence. So if let's say I'm just doing social media posting, let's just say I'm just doing social media posting. Once they respond, what I might do is go ahead and look and see, do they have an Instagram account? Do they have Facebook? Are they on LinkedIn? Depending, again, upon what kind of business they are. Are they on Nextdoor? Are they on all of these different things? And if so, what does their presence look like? Is that an opportunity for me to go ahead and gently promote those services and just say, hey, I noticed a couple of things with your social media presence. Do you want me to send you a quick 2-minute loom on some of the things I noticed? And just leave it at that and see how they respond, because they've opened that door to communication. So that's another opportunity. Now, if you've curated your list, and this is what I say here. So for me, I just grabbed Round Rock businesses in a bunch of different categories. And Round Rock, and being the location, Round Rock, Texas, they are across the gamut, from nail salons to roofers to dentists to restaurants to everyone. I did not pre-qualify them. I didn't look through and find businesses that specifically didn't have a good social presence, or didn't have a good organic search presence, or didn't have a good website. If I were providing just those services, then I might have done that. And some people do that, and that's how they prefer. They just kind of like pre-filter, so everyone in their directory fits the mold for a potential client. And that helps a lot with a lot of their outreach, and they can definitely tailor it and make it a lot more immediate. But if you're just starting out, you're not really sure, sometimes you might just want to add local businesses. Completely up to you. I'm doing the other method where not everyone is necessarily a perfect client, but I'm sending out the bulk emails and trying to get more information from just kind of who's responding, and then dive into what I might offer for them, because I have a background in a lot of that stuff. So I'm just going to tailor it. And then the example of what we'll do, we'll go ahead and hop in there right now. So here, and this is going to kind of preview my stats as well, just because of how we're going to go about it. So here, when someone responds, it's going to go into your conversations tab. And I already responded earlier today, so I'm just going to go to recents. But if you haven't read anything, let me zoom out a little bit more. It'll be in that unread tab, but I've read it and responded. So I'm just going to recents so I can pull it up for you. And this is way too tight when I zoom in. Let's move that. So let's go ahead and look at this one. So you can see my initial email. This is exactly what that welcome email was. And I said for the Austin area, I changed that to Round Rock in a recent iteration because that's more specific. But you can see your business, and then it has their business name. I have a complimentary listing along with other local businesses. So in this one, because it was their first initial email, it's a welcome email, I didn't let them know whether or not the website was actually, their listing was actually live in this. I just said they will have an email. So even though it was already up on the site, I just said will. So I wasn't asking them to claim. I just asked them simply reply yes if this is correct. And in one case, I had a website that was wrong, and they told me that. So I was able to just fix that, and I sent them the link. But you can see here that it gives all of their information from their listing, from what I uploaded in the email. So that's automatically pulled in. And then I just say my PS right here. And they responded. I think in this case, it was just the yes. So they responded exactly as I asked for, down to the all caps, which is always, it's a little indicator, but I always like to consider it. And then here's my response. Great. Do you want me to add your business description, business hours, cover photo, or anything else on your business page? And then I linked it. You can either claim your listing, it's free, and make those updates, or just send me what you want. So again, in this case, I gave them those two options. But let's go ahead and just look at their site. So I'm going to open it in this tab. Now, let's say that I sell websites, I do SEO, and I do social posting. So I'm just going to go through 3 quick scenarios. Looking at their website off the bat, it doesn't seem terrible, so I don't think that they're a good candidate for me selling them a website. It looks like they're probably honestly doing okay with SEO, but I'm going to go into my detailed SEO extension here, which I know it won't show up on your screen, so I apologize there. But it just gives me some indication, and it does look basically like they have some optimization done. So I might not focus on that as much for them. But now if I go to contact, and about us might be another page, I don't see any social. When I go to their social links down here, I'm just going to open all of them. I look at Facebook. I'm not going to log in because I don't need to for this. I can see that they posted last 2 days ago, 5 days before that, or a couple days before that. They're pretty consistent and they're posting good quality content. Instagram, it looks like Instagram, they're not posting nearly as consistently. So that might be one opportunity. We can look at Yelp and see how their reviews are. They have claimed their Yelp profile, so hopefully they'll claim ours. Scroll down. And I don't see any reviews for them. So we could also potentially offer more of review management, reputation management, things like getting backlinks. So that would go into the local SEO as opposed to website SEO. I would say your 2 opportunities here are going to be like Instagram for social posting because they value it on Facebook. And for whatever reason, they're not basically making a similar kind of post, even though their Facebook posts had, I'll pull that back up, a lot of images. And you can see that right here, tons of images. They're not doing them on Instagram. So we could offer to step in and help with that. So that's a really good offer for this client, for this potential client. And now in the meantime, like I said, in this case, I just sent this opportunity for them to just have me put some more information about their business or claim their listing. And depending upon how they respond, or I might just wait 2 days, I might go ahead and say, hey, you know what? I also checked out your Instagram and your Facebook. I noticed that you have been doing a lot of this. You haven't been doing a lot of that. We work with Cedar Web Agency. That's my agency's name. They are happy to offer you like a 15-minute consultation on maybe just how we can, or how they can help, not how they can help your presence, how you can make your presence a little bit more pronounced on these platforms. It's completely free of charge. They sponsor us. So they offer that as a service. Do you want me to set that up for you? And we can leave it at that. So when I do that outreach, again, I'm going to give it 2 days. And if I haven't heard from them, I'm going to respond directly like that. That's going to be the direction that I go, because now that we've figured out what might be a good service for them, we can offer that directly. But we would just want to lean into this relationship building phase. So now let's get to the fun part and let's look at the email stats and the workflow stats. So you can check. Go High Level is cool in a lot of ways because you can get to things like your email statistics in a couple different paths, and it'll show you different aspects of it. And I'll show you what I mean. That also makes it a little hard because if you head to the workflow looking for email statistics one way, and then head to emails looking for other statistics, you'll see different things. So we're going to look at both. So here, if we're looking at our workflow stats, that's going to be, you just click into, you're on all workflows, you click into the workflow you want to see. And you can go to, oh, now you scroll over and go to stats. Sorry, I don't have it zoomed in usually. So you scroll over, you hit that drop down. I'm going to zoom out just a little so we can see it all. You can see how many were delivered, what percentage. You can see how many opened, how many clicked, how many replied, and bounced. Now, the key to this reply rate, because this is a little bit lower than we want, right? This is not per number enrolled, and number enrolled being, in this case, each individual contact. This is for total emails. So we've actually sent more than 140 emails. We probably sent closer to 175, 200. So this replied rate is actually going to be lower than what it is in reality if you're looking at it based on just the workflow on the whole. So what I mean is we've got 5 emails in the workflow in total. So for, let's just call it 100 people, we would send 500 emails. It's going to get that reply rate based off of those 500 emails total, not the 100 people. I care more about getting the percentage of per 100 people because ultimately the workflow's job is to get a response. So it's not that each email should get a response. It's hopefully by the end of that last email, they have responded to you. So anyway, just a little bit of a clear up there. Open rate, really strong, 45.5%. And that's, again, some of these are still in that waiting stage after that first email. So clicked 3.66, replied 1.57. And again, like all of these are based off of total emails. So I'll show you that ends up being actually 3 responses already just from our first email. Interestingly, all of them are roofers. So let me click through and I'll show you that. So statistics, and now this is our other view. If we went to, and I'll show you how to get there. You go to marketing, you go to emails. I'll just click there again so we can see. So you go to marketing, it opens on Social Planner. You go to emails. Now you can see overall statistics for all campaigns, or you can select a campaign. I'm going to leave it at all campaigns for now. That's fine. Drop it to email campaigns. It just gives me a different view of if I were just sending individual like email campaigns, but workflow campaigns are grouped a little differently. So that's basically what we were seeing a second ago, since this is the only campaign I have. And then I can see even throughout the day, open rate. Now this is correlated to when emails were sent. A lot of people were looking, and also it's a Monday, so people were looking on Monday. But I can also see for individual emails. And if I want to see in numbers, then I can just see this. So 52 emails, and let's make this time frame a little bit longer because I started sending, I think I started sending to dentists a little earlier. Yeah, so 201 emails delivered, 46, almost 47% open rate. And this is showing top performing emails. So let me just go ahead and click into campaigns. This is going to give me a more comprehensive view. And again, sorry if that's moving fast. Let me know in the chat and I'll be happy to go back through everything. So we clicked in to look specific to this outreach to see our performance. Now, again, I'm going to go back, and even though I didn't send anything on the first, I'm just going to go ahead and try to make sure we get all of our data. So it looks like around the 10th. So we'll zoom in a little bit here. All right, so you can see I sent just a few here, started out sending to dentists, then I sent to a bunch of roofers, about 100. And you can see our stats throughout the week. But more important, I can see not only what each individual business, where they are, if it was delivered, opened, I can click through, click and see everyone who opened, everyone who clicked. And I can see that of everyone who clicked, 1 business unsubscribed. Not bad at all, especially if you've done cold email before. Then when you get clicks, and a lot of these were to the website itself, they're usually not a good thing. But in this case, you can see only 1 wasn't unsubscribed. So that's not bad at all. And then we can see 3 replies. And now these are businesses that have only thus far. So all of my roofers of the 100 have only received that first email. But that 3% of them have replied. 0% of my dentists, oddly enough, but I send them, like I said, I'm sending to little like groups at a time, but it looks like none of my dentists replied. 3% of my roofers replied. And again, that's only that first email in the sequence. So hopefully by the end, we'll be more toward that 8% reply rate for that group. And we looked at one of them just a second ago, and I showed you what their replies were. Like I said, 2 of them just sent back a yes. 1 of them said, hey, my website's not correct. So I fixed it and sent them back and said, hey, thanks for letting me know. I've updated it. And then I gave them that same kind of like information. Do you want me to add additional information? You can send me an image. You can send me a business description, your hours. Or if you want to do it yourself, you can claim the listing. Here's the link. So I gave them those two options of me being very helpful, them claiming autonomy over it. But either way, we've opened that conversation. Now, I didn't intentionally have the website wrong. What actually was the case, let me see if I can show you. Oh, we're a little over time. That's all right. We can finish this out. What actually was the case, if I go to, let me go to conversations. Recent, it was this one here. So I'm going to open this back up. I'm going to show you what I sent them. So the problem, let's give you a little bit of visibility here by closing some of these. There we go. So the problem was the website that I had in there, in the CSV that I uploaded, I hadn't cleaned the URL. So all that means is instead of just having hdroofingandrepairs.com, I had all this fun stuff at the end, which is generally it should be encoded, but it looks like it was not, because if we click on that, we get to a 404 page. So the person was 100% right to call it out. I did not intentionally do that. And I don't recommend that you intentionally have any kind of like misrepresentation of their business when you send those emails to them. Just have it correct. And if you have mistakes like this, they'll let you know. But it's good that they called it out. It's good that they responded. That may have encouraged them to respond. Again, don't recommend you do that. It's just not a good practice. It's a little bit disingenuous. But they corrected me and I was like, oh, wow, that's terrible. I'm sorry about that. I've updated it. And then again, like offering that same thing. All I'm saying here is when you get these responses, you start to open that door into communication. I know too, when I call and follow up. So let's say in about a week or two, I call and follow up and I'm like, hey, we've got you listed. I just want to let you know if there's any information you want us to add. I'm more than happy to do it now. Or have you claimed your listing yet? You can do it yourself. I can ask for Alex specifically and say, hey, I'm the one you talked to. So you see how we're actually building a relationship, and can you understand why this is why this is so much more powerful than if I'm just cold emailing? That's the key with Smart Directory AI. The directory itself is a tool. And a lot of people get their mind wrapped around the idea that the directory is going to be a passive income stream. And yes, people can upgrade to premium listings. You can make some money off of that. But you want to do the work to make this a business. So the directory is a tool to get clients. If you get clients, then you get a lot more money than a $200 a year directory listing. So that's really what we're after here. And building these relationships is how we're going to be in business for a long time with great clients who appreciate our services because we can deliver. Go High Level helps us deliver on those. Smart Directory gets us to the point where we can. If you want this sheet or you want any information of what I talked about, go ahead and just comment or put something in the chat. Let me know what you're interested in. I'm happy to write down some of this, but you also get complete training through Smart Directory AI anyway. So a lot of what I've said is already in there, and actually a lot more is in there as well. So you'll get a lot more in depth. All right. Thanks for hopping on. Have a good one.